Nintendo know how to make a late but grand entrance, and following their long-running Nintendo Direct, they made a big splash with new Mario and Luigi, Zelda and Metroid Prime reveals. With retro being their bag, man, Retro Studios look to have lost none of their mojo on this new Switch title. Originally announced way back in 2017 in partnership with Bandai Namco, Metroid 4 was later restarted in 2019 under the helm of Retro Studios. Now, clearly building on their Metroid Prime Remaster in 2022, the team now have a strong knowledge of how to push the aging handheld. This is evident during the short 2-minute trailer, highlighting snippets of gameplay that look to offer the same mix of platforming, exploration, puzzle and combat as before in an isolated alien locale. Technically, they have always been strong on the art and atmosphere since their GameCube debut, but here they have grown alongside Samus and crew with a darker, moodier render. Resolutions are identical here, with preliminary counts of 1600 by 900 with no signs of any anti-aliasing from this 1080p footage, aligning perfectly with their 2-year-old Metroid Prime Remaster. Backing this up is the material quality and lighting that, although not identical, shares similarities to the prior Switch title, which you can see in the on-screen comparisons. The art style follows more organic design cues than before, and they have increased the use of specular materials and improved light and shadow, at least in this small teaser. I believe this is one of the reasons many thought it might be Switch 2 footage, which I'm 100% confident this is Switch footage. The themes in the opening battle, enemy designs, use of bloom, lens flare and volumetric faux smoke, animated fire and destruction does mirror a great deal with Halo 4, which was a technical marvel on the even then aging Xbox 360, something shared here on Nintendo's mighty handheld. The battle section is actually reminiscent of the Halo 5 opening mission. Unlike that 343i debut though, which only ran at 30 FPS, here Retro Studios stay true to their 60 FPS goals. Running the trailer footage through our frame tools, we can see a near rock solid 60 FPS readout. Some minor dips do crop up briefly, and these point to potential memory impacts as the relevant switches are made into gameplay, or spawning the alpha lights and geometry animation swaps for destruction. Overall though, it's very impressive performance levels for a game targeting a 2025 release. I must stress this is only really testing the trailer footage from the Direct Showcase and is merely an indicator of a game deep in development. As an example, Metroid Prime holds a locked 60 FPS most of the time on the same hardware, even with heavy effects, enemies and traversal. So I think we can expect the same level of performance come launch from the studio. Character models and environment are lit far better with great use of light and shadow. Seeing that comparison to the remaster and beyond here on Samus herself, you can see the improved lighting reactions, edge lighting and self-shadowing improves the look of materials, depth and grounding in the scenes. Reflections, both diffuse and specular, are more physically based now. The ship is more metallic with diffuse surfaces across the reds and oranges, and Samus's visor reflects her enemy with a projected cube map most likely, something which they used often in the original title. When you shot a rocket at a wall, you got a flash of Samus's face inside the helmet. This mix of improved ambient occlusion, light sources, shadow maps and material quality adds up to a pleasing improvement over the previous game. The core engine traits and hardware limits are still visible though. The art is designed to minimize aliasing with heavy reliance on colored textures and vertex albedo over high frequency texture maps. Low use of alpha effects on grass and explosions to reduce pressure on the bandwidth and fill rate. All in all, it's a perfectly designed single platform console exclusive that is designed around the limitations and advantages the console gives the team. The open, grassy section at the end of the trailer is the most detailed of all shots, with rocks, water, clouds, bloom, mountains and grass. But much of the detail here comes from colour, normal maps and animated textures over a dense foliage heavy scene. The result is a stark contrast to the opening battle and darker palette, but it maximises the detail within the limits of the Switch hardware exceptionally well. Set pieces seem to be a bigger part of the game, or at least from the trailer. Walking through a scripted attack, the rolling debris could be a sign of improved physics, or merely a canned animation, but later we see Samus rolling through a pinball-like chute, while below a battle ensues and the camera pulls out on a spline with excellent composition of view and the action frame perfectly. The end highlights excellent cinematic flair, with a soft attenuated light seeping through the volumetrics and hazy smoke drifts from the fire. Burnt orange and brushed metals reflect the light as it pulses and dances on their armour. As the hero and villain face off amongst the chaos, it sets us up for a battle to come. Character designs continue the organic themes, with the glass-bowled aliens giving a Tim Burton Mars Attacks vibe. It also showcases the minimalist approach of polygon count, texture detail and lo-fi design, which I love and is a resounding success here, certainly a case of less is more. Even at 60 FPS, the post effects used are abundant and great quality. Per object motion blur is used sparingly in cutscenes or when rolling into the ball under camera motion or explosions, which can also add to blur the objects, emphasising the force. The extensive use of alpha, bloom and lens flare mixed with an atmospheric scattering within the cloud-filled skies gives an ethereal look to the opening planet and the later, lusher, greener Genesis-like planet teeming with life, huge trees and water, highlighting almost a rebirth of something, and again, the symbiosis with machine and organic nature. The team have once again succeeded in bringing the 2D Metroid style and atmosphere into the 3D gaming world. Design cues are shared across the game, such as the ship itself mirroring Samus's helmet, or the soft diffuse and self-shadowed rocks which highlight the quality of the pre-break lighting the game relies on, which again was true in the last title. They have ramped up the lighting rigs, use of volumetric effects and haze, such as we saw with the classic Super Nintendo Metroid, again which played up to the strengths and technical abilities of that particular console. We see a mix of dynamic shadow maps and baked textured ones to maximise visual impact whilst hitting the required 16 millisecond frame times. I applaud them for using art to drive the style and quality. Leveraging cheaper but effective techniques really highlights how art always trumps technology. And this looks up there with the very best we have seen on the Switch hardware, specifically at those lofty 60 FPS heights. Samus is back, to infinity and beyond. And that's it for a fast but furious technical preview on what's to come on Nintendo Switch with Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. If you like what we do here on IGN, then keep it IGN, and we'll catch you on the next one.